folks, this one is requested for Anthony over at Patreon. Thanks indeed for waiting for this one, Anthony. I know he's keen on these solo things. So we're going to look at how to solo over black, how to play it like Mike, if you will. And there's a similar couple of scales that you've used lots of times before in other tunes. Either E minor pentatonic or E natural minor. But we're going to really look at E natural minor, particularly in this one. Now, gear-wise, for the lead tone, I've got my 1991. But I've also got the Kraken from Cross Effects before it. Because that's what Mike went for in that solo that Anthony was after. I don't want to bombard you with theory. So let's just take the chords that we have, right? E minor to D to C. First of all, I would move around with some chords for starting positions as the notes change, right? You could just stay in E minor pentatonic throughout if you wanted. You could stay in E natural minor throughout, just being aware of some target notes. But let's start off simple. So over the top of it, it would sound like this. Like that, right? So just using a couple of little notes, you know, in and around those chord positions, right? Because you can play E minor here, or here, and you can play D. All over the neck, right? So you could find some useful positions to start your solo from, right? Now, you could follow the root or the octave. Let's do that. So what I mean by that is... So... the octave. I'm just following the chords, right? I'm not really thinking about, you know, scale positions or anything like that. And you can go right the way through. Each of those notes, right? You know, some will sound better than others. So that's the 11th, right? So that would sound a bit like this. Incidentally, is how he starts off that solo. He starts off with a variation where he's going... And then he's back into the album part, right? So, some ideas that are taken from this solo, right? Up here... just staying on one note and letting the chords do the work. That sounds like this. Put a bit of vibe on too, shall we? Then a little cheeky run. Now, when you're building runs, you could find an 8-note phrase, or however long the phrase is, and then just repeat it an octave below. So you'd have... you know, something like that, right? sounds great when it's speeded up. But essentially all I'm doing is just... Now what he does on this particular solo is he goes... You know, he does something along those lines, right? And this is another part, right? Start slowly. It's a very Mike thing to do. Let me take the noise off. We have... You know, and then you just go faster and faster. And with the distortion, it's very effective. So you have a bend, release, pull off. And then... You know, and then you keep going. So... with it on, sounds like this. Again here, it's an E note, so it's obviously going to work because you're bending the 15th fret, or the D, up to the E. Then he goes up to the 14th fret, which is the F sharp, which is the 3rd, and then goes up to the G, which is the 5th. Now obviously it's useful if you know all of the notes in the E natural minor, so as the chords change, you know exactly where you are, right? But I wouldn't get hemmed in to these boxy sort of shapes really, because I don't find them musical at all. You know? So those are all the same notes of that scale, right? But if you want to be like Mike, who wouldn't want to be like Mike? He tends to take one string at a time. So that's quite a cool way of getting the pictures of these notes in your head, right? For me anyway. So for example, all on the B string, right? Apart from that last note. Let's see what we can do with those. So if you just learn those notes on the B string and see how much you can do with just that, okay? Let's see where we get to. Get the idea, right? Then I would take another string. Okay, and then see what you can do on those strings, right? Combine both of those strings together so you can play runs only, limit yourself to the top two strings, right? And then I'd repeat that for the other strings, right? Just to get a flavour of where you are. And then, before long, you'll find some patterns and shapes where you feel really comfortable. And you'll hear, when you move to a note where you think, oh, it needs to move, there's a bit of tension there, you can resolve it to any one of the, notes that you already know, okay? A little get out of jail free card sort of thing, right? Another riff I always like to do, this one. That's quite a nice one. So when you're going like... So with the looper... and then you can do some more stuff up here. So hopefully that helps you just to break out of that, one position pentatonic box, right, where you might be getting stuck and getting a bit fed up of the same old licks. And, it opens up the fretboard a little bit for you. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I'm going to play you out with some noodles. See you soon.